Welcome to this episode of Wildlife Love. I'm Christina Crowley, and today I have with me Eve Molson, and she is the owner of Fun for Pet, a doggy daycare and pet boarding facility. And welcome, Eve. I'm so glad you're with me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We made it past one holiday and we're gearing up for the next.
Getting ready for the rest of them. Yeah. And so, that kind of brings up today what I wanted to talk about is other people's pets. I also saw Christmas Vacation over the weekend, and you have the character with this family who showed up with their big dog unannounced. And I think that, whether you have that happen to you or you say yes to auntie or grandma to go ahead and bring their pet, other people's pets. It's just good to know how to manage that, how to manage those introductions, even if there's not another pet in the house. you know, um, what can we do to help ourselves? So that's what I really want to talk about today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the first thing is hopefully they've asked you if they can bring their pet. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
just show up with their St. Bernard and go, oh, well, you've had
yeah.
dogs before. I thought it was fine.
I always bring
Um,
Fluffy with me. Yeah.
right, right. I travel with them. Um, so hopefully they give you a little bit of a heads up.
Hmm.
Um, and it doesn't matter the age of the dog, the size of the dog, whether you have had animals in your home before, you need to be prepared for cleanup. Let's just start right there.
Yeah, yeah.
This dog is in a new environment with new people.
Mhm.
It might get an upset belly. It
Yeah,
doesn't know which door to go to alert that it needs to go potty.
yeah.
So have some cleanup, just be prepared. Make sure you got an extra roll of paper towels, some plastic bags, some carpet shampoo.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, just be smart about it because your person who's traveling is might be just making some assumptions like, oh, my dog's great. It's never gone in my house.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's an assumption that we make. And I know for me, there have been times where it's hard to say no, and so I haven't said no. And but I haven't been aware of what I haven't been aware of bringing a pet into my house, and so that I guess that is the number one thing to be aware of, and also not overreacting. I think
Correct.
the dog is already stressed, and me going, oh, getting upset, get the dog, but because one, maybe we're not watching for the cues, so maybe we're probably a little bit wrong there too. But, and not making the dog even more upset to cause, of that ripple effect.
Oh, absolutely. So I used to live on 8 acres, had hound dogs, and we hosted Easter, and there would be 60 people there. And yeah, people just made the assumption because I'm a dog lady that
Yeah.
they could bring their pet. And I would say, no, I'm serving food. There's
Yeah.
children with plates down low. No, we're not doing this. And there's chocolate. It's Easter.
Oh,
Lots
yeah.
of chocolate.
And all those acres and other dogs.
Yeah, and it wasn't fenced. Um, so after the first year, I got smart and I would bring crates home. Um, so hopefully, again, the person says, "Hey, I need to bring Fluffy. I can't find a place to board. I can't find anyone to watch Fluffy. What have you?" Your response should be, "Can you please make sure you bring a crate?" Because I don't always want Fluffy to be able to free roam. When we're eating, I would prefer that Fluffy be in a crate. You can set boundaries.
Yeah.
And my biggest one is there's going to be small children with food.
Hmm.
And I don't want Fluffy to eat something that's going to upset Fluffy's belly. So if you just make sure you've got a crate, we'll make sure that Fluffy has an enjoyable time at my house.
Yeah, because it is hard to say no, and it's too late this year to get a reservation anywhere, or even probably a pet sitter to take care of your dog. So
Absolutely.
knowing what it takes to have good manners at somebody's house and knowing the potential problems that you may not be aware of because your dog is good at home, they're solid. Maybe you have to travel with them this year. Dealing with the potty issue is probably the first thing to definitely set up before you get deep into the greetings and deep into conversation and catching up, and you want to have those loved ones at home and a great visitation. And so that, and then having the children and setting boundaries, uh, so that they don't steal their food and so they don't get food that they shouldn't be eating. I mean, all of the spices in the holiday foods are terrible for dogs.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you just dished up some pasta salad and the dog just ate an olive and a pepperoni. Yeah, that's gonna sit real well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I put onions in everything. I
oh
like it.
yeah, yeah, and that's just it. So, again, preemptively having the conversation of, are you bringing a crate, just so that way, when the food is out and whatnot, Fluffy can be safe. So that way you're posing it in a, I want your dog to be safe in my home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the reality is too, as the pet owner, you need to be cognitive of, not everybody likes dogs. So although you're going to your sister's house and she's a dog lover, but the rest of the family that comes over, the small children may not be a fan of dogs,
Yeah.
and you don't want your dog to be the bad
Mhm.
thing at the holiday event. So be cognitive. If you're staying in a hotel, you definitely need a crate. I would recommend also a white noise machine.
Yeah.
Grab it off
Yeah.
your nightstand and pack that with you, because when you're in the hotel room and your dog, you're not there, the dog hears another
Mhm.
door slam, might hear people talking, and
Mhm.
it starts barking, and you don't want
Yeah,
to get kicked out of your hotel. So
definitely.
I always pack a white noise machine. Um, just so that way there's something. I mean, you can leave the TV on, but again, sometimes the stuff that
Yeah.
comes over the TV, like a commercial,
Yeah.
there's one right now
Yeah.
with 5 dogs that are barking in it, and it sets my house off. My
Uh-huh.
house is like, why are there 5 dogs barking in
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
To where that white noise,
Yeah.
will help to cancel stuff out. Um, so just be cognitive of that. If you have never crated your dog before, start
Yeah.
now. Put
How
their
long does it
food bowl.
take?
I tell people a good 2 weeks.
Okay.
Um, and every good thing should come from the crate. So their food in the water bowl should
Oh,
be in the crate.
yeah.
Every time you want to give them a treat, you throw it into the crate. Give them a special bone, that should go in a crate. So all good things should come from the crate. I'm training a dog right now, and you always wonder what they're getting into. So again,
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
crate.
Yeah.
I got a little cocky here, and I thought, well, I'm just going to let them roam while we do this and see what happens. But yeah, so it's just being cognitive that you're in a new place and a new environment, and your dog
Yeah.
doesn't understand why.
Yeah. They know they're with you, and some people think, "Well, my dog's with me, they're gonna be safe," and I think we've talked about that when it's fireworks and coming to parties, and this kind of falls in the same realm. So you're training the dog and crate training, you're leaving the crate open most of the time, maybe putting their favorite
Absolutely.
blanket in there, their food, and you probably wanna build up bits of time while they're away if you haven't already crate trained the dog, when they were a puppy.
Absolutely. So I always tell people, start with just shower, right? So put your dog in their crate, and go hop in the shower.
Yeah,
That's anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes.
yeah,
You're still home.
yeah,
You can hear if they're barking, if they're settling. And then when you get out of the shower, you kind of peek and see. But that's just kind of a nice little way to get them used to it.
yeah,
And do it in a time frame increments that are appropriate. So then maybe, the next day you take a shower and you get your makeup and your clothes on. So now they've been in there 30 minutes. And again, you're listening. Do I hear them? Are they barking? Um, and use that white noise machine now too. So that way that just becomes part of their comfort level, when you have to crate them outside of the home.
What if they are a barker? What if they just won't shut up when they're in there?
Sure. That's
I
just
say
more
that from
conditioning.
experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. If they've had a bad crating experience, then you need
Yeah,
to reset the button, so to speak, on that. And you might have to up the ante a little bit. So there are um, different cameras and videos and things that shoot treats out. So Furbo Dog, I think right now has $50 off, and
oh,
that one dispenses treats. So you can put that up on top of their kennel or facing their kennel, and then you hear it. It'll alert you that, hey, there's noise or movement, and then you can look at the camera on your phone and be like, hey, Fluffy, you're fine. And usually that's enough to kind of settle the dog. You hit the button, a little treat dispenses. So yeah, so you can work on some counter conditioning. Um, There are new technologies out there now. There's ultrasonic collars and
Yeah.
contraptions that you can put outside of the crate that when the dog barks, it just, you don't hear it, but it sends a really high pitched noise to the dog that's supposed to meant to just interrupt their thought process so they stop
Oh,
barking.
okay.
I don't recommend citronella collars in your
Oh,
house because
yeah.
it will sync them up. But there
Yeah.
are collars that will do a beep tone or a vibration. Pet Safe sells those. Those are very effective because you can have it where it beeps, you can have it where it vibrates, you can have it where it does both. And when I say vibrate, it does vibrate. Like it's not shocking the dog, it is vibrating.
Yeah.
And again, the whole concept is to get the dog out of that thought process, to stop barking.
Yeah, because it's not a pain,
No.
reward kind of a thing. It's definitely they vibrate and that, doesn't cause pain to the dog. And I think that's an awesome thing to just break up that thought process because that really works for my dogs. Stop that thought process, change their what's going on, and they kind of forget quickly of what was distracting them, what made them want to bark in the first place.
Right. And especially if they don't like to hear the beep sound or the ultrasonic sound or feel that vibration on them, then the whole concept is if I don't bark, then I don't get that
Yeah.
sensation or that noise. So therefore I don't bark anymore.
And I know I like the big metal crates. I have tried some of those flimsy, for lack of a word, plastic or blow up type of crates. I
Oh
think they
yeah.
just turn into a rolling ball and
They do. They do. Even my Frenchie rolls around in those things. Yeah. They're,
I think
they're
it's
great if you're going to like a soccer game or something and
yeah,
you want the dog to have some protection. Like
yeah,
that's what they're meant for.
yeah.
Going to the beach for the day maybe, but yeah, they're really not meant for in the house
Or to
periods of
be left
time.
alone, have them be left alone
Right.
in
And
any
they're
way.
super easy. My labs that I have had, like they just scratch that front little um mesh piece and then rips a hole
Yeah,
and then they climb on out and they're like, hey,
yeah.
I made a door.
I know how to do this. I'm so smart, mom.
Right, right. Yeah. And the metal crates fold up real nice. So that is
Yeah.
the benefit to it.
I
You
mean,
know,
and
some
it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. And right now Tractor Supply has 50% off. I know Chewy has discounts on them right now too. So there's lots of sales going on between now and the end of the year because people are, trying to reduce inventory and all that fun stuff. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's now is definitely the time to get that started. So that way, when you do travel with your pet, it's great. And just overall, training is important. If anything were to ever happen to you or the dog that they need to be crated at the vet clinic, it just helps to take that stress out of the equation.
And I think also with crates, it's just good to know that they need to be able to stand up fully, turn around. If they're laying down, their feet can, don't aren't have to be crunched up in any way, so they can genuinely get that good sleep like they like to do when they're fully laid out. That's a good size to pick for your dog.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's super important. Super important. So we talked about cleanup. We've talked about, making sure that your person brings their crate. If you have another pet in the home, have the person call you when they get there. If you have a fenced in backyard that they can put their dog, in to relieve themselves and sniff around, that's great. If not, just have them take their dog out on a leash potty and put it back in the car. And we usually tell people, 80% of what a dog knows is through their nose. So we want your dogs to meet through scent first.
Okay.
So if their dog can go in the backyard, sniff and smell, for 20 to 30 minutes, and then their dog come up back to their car, then you put your dog outside to be like, oh, there was a new dog in my backyard. Let me sniff it out. Then while
Yeah.
your dog is in the backyard, their dog comes into the house, can again sniff, smell, explore, because their dog's going to be nervous no matter
Yeah.
what. It's a new
Oh
environment.
yeah.
Your dog is going to be a little more comfortable and confident because they know the space. So we want to let their dog get all that nervousness out first before it meets your dog. No bones or toys on the floor. They're all put away.
Yep. Yeah,
Your
that
dog's just gonna,
possessiveness will come right out.
yeah, your dog's just gonna have to suck it up for a little bit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Um, but it's safety first. It's safety for
yep,
the dog, safety for the human. So dog beds are usually okay. Unless your dog like has this favorite bed and this is where they stay and there's just no two
yeah.
ways about it, then you might want to like put that in your bedroom or something.
Mhm.
So visiting dog has been outside backyard, your dog is now outside backyard, visiting dog has now been in the house. Once the visiting dog seems like they've mellowed out, you're reading the body language, seems comfortable, the tail's not tucked, it's wagging if you say its name, that tells you
Okay.
that it's in a neutral state. um, I then would leash up visiting dog, have them go outside, bring your dog in, let your dog sniff just for like 5 minutes, and then leash your dog up, and then let's go for a pack walk. And
Oh, yeah.
when we start our pack walk, it should always be dogs on the outside and humans on the inside. And when I say walk, we're not, grandma out there shuffling down the sidewalk. Like it is a walk. I want you to almost be like a speed walker.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
walk and drain a little bit of energy
yep,
from both
yep,
dogs. And then, usually, honestly, it takes maybe a block. And then you can
yeah.
slow your pace a little bit. Then, again, once you're reading the language a little bit better, mix it up. So it goes dog, human,
Okay.
and just keep that going. And usually about 4 blocks is a good amount. If you have a high energy dog or the dogs are giving you the stink eye and giving each other the stink eye, maybe you want to walk a little longer.
Yeah, yeah. So you definitely have to I like to wear my dog out before, the guests arrive. I know in the past when, family members had a new dog and they're coming, I usually walk them, brings their energy down a little bit. Uh, if I've had a possessive dog, that tends to help. So when we do take that walk together, kind of it goes just like what you're saying, and I don't have to. We don't have to walk and walk and walk to get them to be friends because eventually, hopefully, what you're shooting for is they will be uh, maybe friends or part of the pack. I don't know what's your word for that.
Yeah, so you're just creating that pack mentality of, hey, we're walking, humans are here, you're here, everything is fine, because it's hard to not be fine on a walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if, the two dogs, you walked the visiting dog up to the door and resident dog was inside and they're doing the face off, now it's questionable. But, on the walk, hey, I'm walking with my parent, life is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're kind of trucking along. So once you kind of feel like, all right, these dogs are good, like they're not, one's not growling at the other, nobody's giving a stink eye, body language is good, tails are a little bit loose, turn around and let's head back home. When we go
Okay.
into the house, leave the leashes on and just let them drag it, just
Yeah.
in case, right? This is your
Yeah.
backup.
Yep.
Anybody decides that they want to claim space, you've got the leash, you pick it up. You're not sticking your hand in the middle of any scuffles.
Yeah.
And there's no harm, no foul in dragging a leash. Now, granted,
Yeah.
don't use the retractable leash. We want a standard leash
Oh,
on the
oh,
dog.
yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's on a body harness or the collar. If your dog uses a prong collar or a choke chain or a martingale, I would remove that and put on a standard collar.
Yeah.
But yeah, just let them drag and let them drag for an hour or two. Like, again,
Mhm.
until everybody seems comfortable. There's nothing wrong with that. We do that a lot when we're introducing a dog that seems apprehensive in dog daycare environment. We'll just let them drag the leash.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to invade personal space. We can just pick up the leash and redirect. So certainly have that available. If you're like, hey, I don't know that cousin Susie is going to bring that, go to the dollar store. You can buy a leash and a collar for $1.
Yep. Yep.
They even have bowls there for
Yep.
water.
Yep.
If you're not trusting that your family member is going to bring all the necessary things with their dog, go spend $5 at the dollar store. You'll have it all
Yeah.
ready for them.
We forget stuff, we're in a hurry to get out of the house. That happens. And so do you suggest that each dog or each, household that's in there have their own water bowl and food bowl that doesn't
Absolutely.
smell like the other?
Yep. So separate watering and eating stations. So if your dog is used to being free fed, guess what? They're on a schedule now because
Yeah.
that's not going to fly. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I would put them, on opposite ends of the kitchen, put one in the dining room, whatever you can do to make sure that there's a good 10 feet in between the two of them. And then again, if you've brought that crate, guess what? Everybody goes in their crate for their dinner. So then you
Yeah.
don't have to stand there and monitor. Again, it doesn't matter if Fluffy's been great at home. Yeah, this is all new.
Yeah.
Um, don't put that much pressure on your pet.
Yeah. I think that doing it that way, they kind of get to know each other. You know if they're kind of maybe going to get along before they head into the house, and you do that whole routine of setting things up. And in the past I have had leashes on my pets while we've had guests and visitors. And um, because many years ago when I would do this, also crates weren't a big thing. Crates weren't the trend thing. And now I find that they're so good. And would you say for people who are like, oh, crate train, isn't it kind of like a dog den, in their instinctual way of
Absolutely.
being?
Yeah, you want a man cave or a lady cave, your dog wants a cave too.
Yeah.
Some of my dogs prefer it to be dark and quiet, so I just have a sheet draped over their crate. The furry dogs like, I get hot, so there's this wide open, so to speak. But yeah, they're all different.
Yep.
And again, you're not punishing the dog. That's not what you're using it for. This is their safe space. I had a dog in for rehabilitation, and every time I would raise my voice, whether it was at the dog or not, and whether I was like, yay, somebody just scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Anytime I raised my voice, that dog busted off and ran into that crate. And I was like, okay, well, clearly you view the crate as your safe space, and any heightened noise was a scary space.
Yeah.
So that's it too. Look at this as we're creating a safe space. So no matter where the dog goes, whose house it's at, a hotel room, etc., it knows that this crate is their safe space. They can always go there.
Mhm.
It is their opportunity to feel safe and decompress.
Because that makes such good sense, because I know with guests over, my pets aren't used to those kind of really deep voices, it's just me and my sister, who live in our house. And when we have people over, and in the variety of voices, they're not always used to that. And so I know to expect a little bit of, oh my goodness, I'm a little bit afraid. And so I just direct them to the room where their crate is, and they are good there, and I can block it off, and they have that crate to go to just be calm, and that's where they're going to be while I have guests over for the days that they're over. And that is really okay. I don't have to force the situation for it to be, for lack of a better word, one happy family, one happy weekend with my pet there. I mean, that's going back to what I want, not what's good for the dog, right? Don't force
Absolutely.
the issue.
That's exactly it. You need to honor the dog. Um, so like my Frenchie would be super excited when people would come over. And then after about half an hour of guests being in our house, she would just go find her crate and curl up and take a nap.
Yep.
She's like, yep, I'm done. I've said hello.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
the same time, like when we were eating and I had guests over, I would always allow her to greet. And then I would, if she didn't automatically go in, I would put her in her crate, and I would give her a special, bone or a treat.
Yeah.
And because she's small and I didn't want her underfoot. I didn't want, my grandma to trip over her.
Yeah.
She didn't see her. I also didn't want her eating
Mhm.
anything off the floor that somebody might have
Mhm.
dropped from their plate
Oh, yeah.
accidentally.
Yeah.
So there was just too many variables, and it's really easy to forget the dog.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
chatting with your long lost cousin you haven't seen
Mhm.
in 3 years,
Yeah.
especially this year. There's going to be just so much catching up and so much seeing people that it's going to be really easy to forget that you have a dog wandering around the house, unless they steal the cake off the counter like mine just did.
And and as long as there's nothing in it that's going to hurt them, then no harm, no foul, and hopefully that sugar doesn't give them a bad tummy.
Yeah. So on a secondary note,
Yeah.
anybody that's bringing their pet with you, just say, hey, make sure you got your tags on your pet. Make sure you bring
Oh,
your vet paperwork just in
yep.
case something happens.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah. So I've had clients call us over the years saying, hey, my daughter's in town with her pet and it just ate the, turkey off the counter and it's got bones in it. My vet's full. Who can you recommend? Or.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you are visiting somewhere, you need to make sure that you have your pet's vaccinations with you.
And research their zip code for emergency vet. Know the pet poison hotline. No, go visit there and just kind of peruse and know what is really bad for your dog. There are things on the ASPCA website and their poison part that I didn't know were bad for dogs.
Hmm.
And if your dog has an underlying condition that you don't know about and it gets a lot of sugar, it may cause some problems. And so it's good to know wherever you're going where a good emergency vet is, because on a holiday and they're closed, the emergency vet
Correct.
may or may not be open. And you just react differently in an emergency situation if you're kind of prepared. If nobody wants anything bad to happen, but if you kind of know, okay, I looked at this before I left town about your town, I know that this
Right.
vet is there.
Yep. Yep. And the other big thing, and you had hit on it before, is facilities are closed. Boarding facilities are full.
Oh
Dog
yeah.
walkers, all that kind of stuff are full already.
Hmm.
So if you're bringing your pet, make sure they have identification on them. So if they get
Hmm.
lost
Oh
in this
yeah.
new place that they've never been before, because Sally was opening up the door to go outside and the
Uh-huh.
dog darted out the door,
Yeah.
you need to make sure that you have things in place to get your dog back.
And another thing is that some of us have cats. Now, my mom always used to say, put the cat in the bedroom, the box was in the bedroom, and close the door. Because you never know, whoever's bringing their dog has a particular type of a instinct to go for small pets, or if uncle or aunt so and so don't like cats. So is that what you suggest for cats?
Yeah, that's the easiest thing, is to just create, a section of the house for them. If you can do a bedroom, some people will do their whole basement, or what, again,
Hmm.
depending on your house's layout.
Yeah.
But that is the easiest for them. Um, and again, if you could do that even a couple days ahead of time,
Yeah.
so that way
Yeah.
the dog's not like, or the cat's not going, why'd you lock me in here for? I have a whole house to roam.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my
Um,
place. Well, what's going on here? Yeah. Yeah.
right. I mean, cats are just as territorial as dogs are.
Oh yeah.
So definitely, again, set them up for success. So do it a
Yeah.
couple days ahead of time, move the litter box, um, have their water and their food in there so that way they know where it is. And yeah, that white noise machine is also helpful, because even though the cats may not be human social, they still hear everybody, and that
Oh
causes
yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah. They
I
hear all
mean,
those voices they're not used to.
absolutely, absolutely. And we forget that piece. We forget the,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, animals operate on their three senses,
Yep.
sight, smell, and sound.
Yeah.
So they can smell the humans, they can hear the humans, but they can't see the humans. That does cause some anxiety.
Yeah.
So if we can try and mitigate a little bit, if they can smell it, that's one thing, 1 out of 3.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
running those white noise machines and whatnot to drown out the human sound is super, super important.
Yeah. And one thing I would add, if you are staying in a hotel while you're in the room, I always put a towel up against the door, up
Hmm.
against that bottomness of the door so that smells can't seep through there. And if you're in a
Absolutely.
room that has a connection with another room, I do the same thing. I put a towel against there, get housekeeping to bring you more towels, and just do that. It really helps block off the scents of for your pet to become anxious with because they don't know, and they know that it's a human and they don't know that human.
Right, right. And that's exactly it. It's you've taken the dog completely out of their comfort zone and
Yeah.
they don't know why. They
Mhm.
don't understand, oh, we're gonna go to Grammy's house.
Yeah.
They just know they are in a weird place with weird sounds, weird smells.
Yeah.
You're with them,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there's still an edge of uncomfortableness.
Yeah. We
Um,
are their safety, but we're gonna be away from them. If we're traveling to see people. And, I also want to talk about maybe reiterating some winter safety, because if you are, uh, gonna be going and visiting people, I know I like to walk my dogs and wear them out, tire them out a little bit, but it's there are hazards to walking your dog in the winter.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you're traveling from Arizona, or a southern state where
Yeah.
temperatures are kind of nice, and now you're up
Yeah.
north. Um, yeah, just think about the coat of your dog. If they're a husky or a Malamute or a Burmese mountain dog, they've got
Yeah.
those layers. So if you
Yep.
go to a colder state, they're fine.
Yeah.
You flip it around, and now you're going to a warmer state, they're going
Yeah.
to need some air conditioning. You can't just leave them in the car and
Yeah.
pop
Yeah.
into somewhere. So you need to make sure that you are dressed for success in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
temperatures that you're going to. A lot of times in the colder areas, we have to put a lot of salt out to stop
Mhm.
the ice from piling up, and
Yeah.
so putting booties on your dog, using Musher's Secret to protect their paws, and then flip side too. You're going somewhere hot. Is that pavement too hot? Like, you're enjoying being in flip flops and shorts.
Yeah.
Is your dog feeling the same way with the hot cement or concrete on their pads?
Mhm.
So being prepared for where you're going for you and the pet.
Yeah.
Travel water bowls are everywhere right now. So
Yeah.
having those with you at all times is super important.
So say you are going somewhere and you had enough forethought to get a reservation for your dog at a boarding facility. And what can we do to know that maybe that is a quality boarding facility, but we haven't seen it?
Sure. Um, I usually tell people, drive by, check it out. Key questions to ask. More than likely, they're not doing tours. And I'll tell you why. When people ask to come into our facility, um, if I bring you, the stranger, into a room full of dogs, they're not just going to sit pretty. They're going to
Yeah.
bark. You're a stranger
Yeah.
invading their personal
Yeah.
area. And I would rather irritate you, the human, than irritate the 40 dogs.
And so that's gonna be a typical answer.
That will
That's
be a
not
very typical
off-putting.
answer. No.
Yeah.
They should have pictures or videos either on their website or their Facebook page. Um, we have a sample of all of our different boarding options if you want to see the size of our suites or our crates in an off room, so that way we're not going back into the boarding area and again disrupting everybody
Mhm.
and that type of thing. So just be prepared. They probably are not going to give you a tour. Plus, it's still COVID. We don't want
Yeah.
strangers in our building.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
it's twofold. But yeah, my biggest thing is I'm here to cater to the pets.
Mhm.
I understand you're inquisitive, but I'm not going to disrupt our guests. It's
And
that.
you wanna keep your staff safe and
Yeah.
healthy.
I mean, you wouldn't go to the hotel and go, I want to see the presidential suite. Even though someone's
Yeah.
staying in there, just give me a tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
You wouldn't
And
do
that's a good
that.
way to think of it.
Yes.
Totally.
We're a hotel. I'm not going to take you into
Yeah.
another guest's room just so you can get a visual. There are pictures and videos.
Yeah.
Ask what their requirements are for vaccinations. In California, they've had a canine influenza outbreak, so that might be something new that you've not done with your pet before, and that is a 2-shot 30-day interval.
So we're a little
So
too late for that if it's the Christmas holiday, New
you
Year's holiday.
are, you are. Some facilities down in Florida and Chicago do it too. So yeah, so you
Mhm.
need to call ahead and find that out.
Mhm.
What can you bring?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Every facility is different. How do they
Yep.
want the food put together?
Mhm.
So if they answer you real nonchalantly, oh, do whatever, that's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's a, oh, well, we would like your food to be prepackaged into Ziploc baggies for each meal,
Mhm.
and you can bring a bone for them to chew on.
Yeah.
That would be appropriate. Some facilities don't want you to bring blankets and stuffed toys because one dog in a room with a squeaky toy could set the whole room off.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so again, it is about your dog, but it's also about all the guests in
Yeah.
the hotel. And that's really how you have to think about
Yeah.
it. Um,
And if you've gotten a reservation, if you're going there and you've gotten the reservation, they probably emailed you what you can and
correct.
can't do. And
Correct.
that's a good sign too, that I can email this to you, you have the reservation. And you may have the reservation upon, you may need to prove things before you can get the reservation, right? Or before you can keep the reservation.
Absolutely. And don't be surprised if facilities are requiring you to do a 2 to 3 night stay over a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just like a hotel, you check
Hmm.
out at 11, they want someone else
Yeah.
to fill that spot. And
Yeah.
don't think of it as a money grab. It's not about the money. It's about we have so many people that need care for their pets. We are
Yeah.
trying desperately to accommodate.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah.
truly it. Um,
Hmm.
this past holiday, I was booked out with 13 cats. And I was turning people away for their
Yeah.
cats. And I was trying to come up with a how can I accommodate them? It wasn't a, oh my gosh, how much money am I missing? It was, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how can I accommodate for these
Yeah.
people to ensure that their pet is getting the best care? And
Yeah.
that was really
Yeah.
that's why we get into this business.
Hmm.
People lose sight of that. I can tell you, we get sweared at
Yeah.
every holiday. Well, what do you expect me to do with my pet? I don't know
Well,
what to tell
yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I think that's why we talk about this, is so that, you get some idea of your options for taking care of your pet while the holidays are happening. Because a lot of people are getting together for the holidays again, and they haven't since 2019. And I think you do put the needs of the pet above money, but it still is a business.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Nothing is truly free, and that's life. That's just
Yeah, yeah.
something
And
that is true.
read the contract of the pet care facility.
Yeah.
Um, some facilities, if your dog ruins their crate, ruins, their room. There was a husky at a facility that actually ate through a wooden door, broke out of his kennel, like climbed up and over and out, and then ate through the door that went into the boarding room. You might be liable for that.
Wow.
So be
Yeah.
honest too. Like,
Yeah.
like I have 5 different boarding options. So if you tell me, listen, my dog is super anxious, like he's on medication, but like he destroys things when he's
Mhm.
nervous. Great. You know what? You're going to book my studio suite that has tiled walls and a steel door because
Yeah.
I need to make sure
Yeah.
your pet stays safe.
Yeah. And because people go home at night, but you don't have somebody there all night, do you?
We do on the weekends when we offer
Okay.
our cage-free boarding, but even so, they're in 2 rooms away from us. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
know that your dog is,
Yeah.
like, hurting
Yeah.
themselves trying to get out
Mhm.
of a crate
Yeah.
or what have you.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're honest with the facility about their pet so they can provide proper care. Had this
Yeah.
facility known that this dog has anxiety when
Oh, yeah.
kenneled, you could have asked your vet for extra medication even. Like, you
Mhm.
could have, some things could have been put into play. And so, yeah, that owner is now having to fork out $1,100
Yeah.
for
Doors
the
are
repair
expensive.
for the
Yeah.
repairs to this facility.
Yeah.
So read your contracts, make sure that you know
Yeah.
what is transpiring. Make sure that you have your
Yeah.
emergency contact listed. Make sure that your veterinarian is listed on any and all paperwork.
Yeah.
Um, when you are booking with a facility, you always have to provide, every facility is going to require you to have vaccinations.
Mhm.
Don't have
Mhm.
your vet send it to the facility. Have the vet send it to you.
Yeah.
So that way
Yeah.
you forward it to the facility so you know it got there. Vet clinics are
Yes.
overwhelmed right
Oh,
now
yeah. They are. They really are.
and things can get missed. We are all
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
But if you ask them to send it to you because you can't find the copy that they did give you when you had
Mhm.
Fluffy's vaccinations done 6 months ago,
Mhm.
then you know that you have it. You forward
Yeah.
it on to the boarding facility and or print it out,
Yeah.
double check it that everything is up to date, and then you physically bring it into the boarding facility. We've changed that policy because people are like, well, I asked my vet to send it to you. Well, I don't have a copy. So go out to your car right now
And do it. Yeah.
and do it
You
or
have
go
to make
home.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, I totally understand that vets are so busy right now. And it's better just to be proactive than to be blaming somebody. It's just better to have it done. Better to do than to worry about it. You want a carefree vacation. And
Absolutely.
these are some really awesome ways. Is there anything I may have not asked you about or thought about to ask you? Because there are things I don't know that I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. If you are hiring a pet sitter, stay in contact with them
Oh yeah.
frequently. Well, and
Yeah.
and we had 3 people that reached out to us that said their sitter never showed up
Oh. Oh,
and they were leaving and they didn't know what to do.
yeah.
So, if you've never met your pet sitter, you don't have an established relationship, you better follow up with them frequently leading up to you leaving
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have a plan B in the back of your head.
Always. Always have a plan B because yeah. And me as a pet sitter, I have a plan B. I have somebody who knows where my clients are, who knows who my clients are, where they might keep my keys. I have a trusted person who does that for me. And that is something to ask your pet sitter if something happens to you.
Absolutely.
I was in an auto accident once upon a time, and that made me go, oh my gosh, what if I had clients after this? What if I had to go meet them? That is
Right.
something good to know. And it is good to have a plan B and know who they are and get a feel for them. If you get a sketchy feel for them, go to your plan B. Keep interviewing. And some people might have genuinely a high school student or a college student who's home who may be able to cover. You don't know, but go with what your gut tells you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, there's, we feel horrible
Yeah,
when we have to say
yeah,
no because we're full.
yeah, yeah.
Um, we had a lady that went into labor 3 weeks early. She
Oh,
called up and she's like, I know it's the holiday. I don't know what else to do. Any chance
oh
you can
yeah,
take Moose? I said, I will figure it out. Just have somebody drop Moose over. Well,
yeah,
I said to her, I'm like, you could just bring him over. We'll figure it out. She's like, I'm actually already in the hospital right now, but I'll have somebody drop him off. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Because her plan B was
yeah,
her mom or her
yeah.
mother-in-law, and they were both at the hospital because she went into labor early.
Hmm.
So, um, you know, we accommodated.
Yeah,
I always hold a few crates
yeah,
back just in
yeah,
case
yeah,
for those emergencies that pop
yeah.
up for people. However, yeah,
If there were plenty of people who had emerged, and it's something to be said. Emergencies do happen, and though you may be listening to this thinking, I'm going nowhere for the holiday. I'm not go. Always have a pet sitter. I'll interview them. I've had people interview me months before they needed me, or in case something popped up. But I've always had a pet sitter in case something has popped up and I've had to leave town on an emergency. And it is true emergencies where I might make the exception and fit your dog in. I might not be able to stay overnight, but I will
hmm
fit your dog in if you've had an emergency, somebody die, something happened to someone out of town and you've had to go. Not poor planning that you're going on vacation that you knew about, but
right.
true emergencies happen. And that's kind of the real only exception that we can make. And that's things happen. They always do. And even the good things, if you did have a vacation pop up out of the blue that you could go on, if you have a good relationship with your pet sitter, maybe they can come over. Maybe they
Yep.
can help you out.
Nope,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's really it. Just make sure that you have a relationship with them, that they have your
Mhm,
updated vet records and all that kind of
mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is one thing we've all learned over this past 2 years is
Yeah.
plan for the unexpected
Yeah.
and just hope that you don't
Oh.
have to use it.
And this kind of goes that if you're doing something unexpected, you're taking Fido along, you could kind of keep this in the back of your mind of what you're going to have to do when you get there, and just to kind of approach things calmly if you're going into a tense situation, whether the
Yeah,
tense situation is an emergency or, families are families, and there are tense situations that happen in them. I think you've given some great advice today, and thank you so much for being with me today.
absolutely. It's always my pleasure.
And you have a wonderful Christmas
It's
and
going to be a
winter
busy one.
holiday.
Very busy.
Absolutely. And I me too.